Hey everybody, and welcome to the video. Before I get into this video, I just want to say that if there's any negative comments at all, you're going to be banned from the channel forever, and I'm not going to unban you. So seriously, if you're going to be immature, if this is the day that you're feeling a little squirrely, go to another video, go to an acne video of mine and unload, but here's not the place. When I go through difficult things, I really try to share them, because I think that sharing really difficult things in the moment is one of the most powerful things you can do. I thought about whether or not I wanted to make this video in like a month or so, when I had kind of grieved through it and kind of figured out my emotions and stuff like that. But I figured this video would be good because I know that this is like a thing that for a lot of people is very difficult. It's not a thing that is regular, and it's not something that all of us have experience with and like the tools to deal with. So I figured that if I kind of explain to you guys what's going on with my life, what I'm dealing with and how I'm dealing with it, and just like my thoughts on it, I feel like it'll be cathartic for myself, and it'll be good for people who are dealing with similar things. Maybe you have a similar situation going on in your life. Maybe someone in your life is, coming to pass, they just passed, or they've passed in the past, and you just haven't really decided how to deal with it, or you're having a hard time coming to terms with it. But I really appreciate having you guys here watching this video. I appreciate having an audience that is so kind and is willing to listen to this kind of stuff and help me with these kind of things. So thank you. About a month ago, my grandma had a stroke, and it left her way worse off than she was. She was doing fine. She was driving around doing her whole thing and grocery shopping and all that kind of stuff. And then she had a stroke, and then that really took her downhill. So it really took away her functionality. She was like really homebound, and then it got to a point where everybody was going to her house every single day and taking care of her night and day, 24/7, helping her go to the bathroom. She lost like the ability to walk, all those kind of things. So that was already pretty tough to deal with. And then about like 2 weeks ago, we took her to hospice. So I helped move her bed, and I helped move her and everything over to hospice, and that was really tough. Yesterday morning, like around 3:30 in the morning, she passed away. So I found out yesterday morning when I woke up around like 8:30 or something like that. It's weird because it's like when you see someone going downhill, you know, especially when they're on hospice and stuff, you know that they're gonna pass. But it's weird. The human brain is like so compartmentalized. It's like got the ability to like know the practicality, the reality, and yet still sort of deny it in a way. Because like otherwise, how are you going to function? Like you never know. Like if someone's in hospice, they could be there for 6 months. So it's like your brain has to compartmentalize it. Otherwise, you will just be sad for 6 months. So it's weird because it's really unexpected, but at the same time expected. And you feel like you can try as hard as you want to like grieve and get ready, prepare for someone's death, but it's just like I'm not very good with it. It's not easy to deal with. A lot of people that you'll talk to when someone's dying in their life, or when the same person is dying in both of your lives, a lot of people will really seem like they've got a good handle on it. It seems like they have no trouble with it, and they're really like sound, and I think people deal with it different ways, and I think that trying to deal with it in a different way than your emotions and your body is trying to release it, I think it's going to be a really difficult thing to deal with, because I think so many of us have that stigma, and I've talked about this in a really long time ago in a video, the stigma of like crying, especially as a man. I know like just period, a lot of people have that stigma, but I know especially for men, it's like, man up and, get a punch in the arm and, you can only cry once, or like everyone is always really proud to be like, oh, I don't remember the last time I cried, and you can count off the years and stuff, and it's like, it's a very machismo, masculine, ego thing. I used to be like that, really heavy. I used to not ever let myself cry. When someone's passing, man, when you have grief to deal with, you gotta deal with it, man. You gotta accept it, and you gotta let your body do it. I think very important things to do are to speak to people and let your feelings out. That's really difficult. I know that for sure, because usually when you deal with something really tough, you want to internalize it, you want to deal with it yourself, And also, again, like, ego comes in so much that, you know, sometimes you're like, it's not a big deal, you know, it was their time, I'm fine, it's not a big deal. Or you rationalize that it's not logical for you to be so distressed, since it's not like your brother, your husband, or your boyfriend, or your best friend, or whatever. It's someone who's a little bit farther from you than people who are more affected, so you shouldn't worry so much about it. I think I've done that in the past. Luckily this time, I really don't have many qualms or ego problems with, like, letting my emotions out, except for in front of people. That is really difficult. I was talking to my best friends last night. They came over to my house, and with Kurt, I'm able to open up a little bit more. With my other friends, it's like, I don't know, like, almost naturally, I was like, you know, it's okay, man. It's gonna be okay. And it's true, like, I really do believe that, but also I didn't let into the parts where I'm like, yeah, I'm still pretty distraught. That's part of the reason I wanted to make this video, is because I want you to understand that maybe you're young, maybe you're really machismo and macho, or whoever you are. Maybe you just got issues with letting your emotions out. I'm hoping that putting this video up in front of thousands and thousands of people will let you know that you can let your emotions out in front of 1 or 2 people. You can even let your emotions out by yourself. Again, I don't know why we have this, like, thing with crying, but, like, even in front of yourself, it's, like, embarrassing, and you're like, what's wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you. Like, let it out, cry. Here's how my grief feels. I feel three things. Like, firstly, I feel really bad for my mom, because it's my mom's mom, so her mom passed. That's really tough. I can't imagine that. And yet it's so weird, because it's gonna happen. It's like humanity. It's like what we have to deal with. It's weird. I can't imagine dealing with this kind of stuff without grieving heavily, without crying. It's like, I don't know how people will lose a parent and not shed a tear, because they are so stuck to that ego thing, just because of who I am, like, the personality that I hold. I think for me, it's really hard to watch other people suffering. Like, it's almost worse than suffering myself. The other really hard part, the second hardest part, was really watching it all happen, because it's weird. Like, a lot of times in my life, people have been coming to pass, or they've been faced with situations where it's almost certain that they're going to die. And so many times these guys, obviously, it's been only dudes that I've seen this happen with, I guess. So many times they make jokes the entire time. Really, like, jovial about it. They're more calm than you are, and of course, I'm sure everyone's putting a mask on and just doing what they have thought of doing and stuff, and I'm sure it's, you know, at night and stuff, those people are really going through it and crying and stuff. But the people that I've dealt with death with before have made huge jokes about it, and it's really comforting when the person that is dying is comfortable with it, or at least has the sense of humor to make it, I don't know, it was really tough, because my grandma wasn't stoked. You know, she wasn't, like, jovial and happy. She was, you know, it hit her unexpectedly. She had a stroke, and she was just like, what's all these functions that I used to be able to do are gone. Definitely the hardest part was every time I would leave her house and see her in her wheelchair, say goodbye to her, and say, I'll see you soon. She'd start crying. It was really tough to see somebody so sad about their own demise, you know? It was tough because it wasn't the toughest on me, it was the toughest on her. I never realized until this time, that I think that's the more usual situation. Like, it should be the toughest on that person, not on you, right? Because they're the ones who are having to deal with it. But again, like, it's not something that a lot of us have experience with. It's not something that a lot of us are good at or whatever. And so I just never really realized that until this. That was really tough. Thirdly, of course, is my own emotions, my own grief. That's really tough. I almost felt like it wasn't going to be as emotionally difficult, because it wasn't like my best friend dying, or like my girlfriend, or like my mom, someone who's like that first link of family. And man, like, your conscious mind has no clue how your subconscious mind is going to deal with it. You really don't. Like, man, I think I know what I'm doing, and I don't have any clue. My uncle was over yesterday morning because they came over and had to do all the papers and stuff, and we talked for a second. He said, yeah, you know, he's like, I grieved about 30 days ago, you know, because we knew it was going to happen with this whole thing, you know. And he's like, you know, it's good that, you know, she's in a better place and things like that. And, you know, I definitely agree with him, man. Like, she was suffering, and I'm really glad that she's in a better place. But it's weird because I agreed with him, and I'm like, yeah, you're right, man. It's been 30 days, and, like, we knew it was happening. So we had, like, this very lucky thing where we got to prepare for it. Most people don't get to prepare for someone's death. It just happens out of nowhere. I can't imagine what that would be like. I really don't. And it's weird because while the rationality of that makes sense, yeah, like, it was 30 days ago that it happened, of course, yeah, like, you know, I've had time to grieve, and shouldn't be so quite acute right now. But it's weird because I think that I'm good, and then I'll be just driving in my Civic to, like, the gym or something like that, and out of nowhere, like, I don't even know what triggers it, but I just start crying like a bunch, and I just, like, can't stop. I've had a couple workouts in the last couple of weeks where I just start crying. Like, right in the middle of the workout. It's weird. It's not like it's even bad too. It's not even like I'm like, oh, I'm crying. It's like a good thing. Like, it feels really good to me. But it's just crazy because I just don't expect it, and then it comes out of nowhere. And sometimes it's like obviously an inappropriate situation where you're like, all right, hold on, like, I gotta capture this in because I'm in the middle of a conversation. It's gonna make no sense. But other times it's like, it's really good. Like, when I was crying in the gym, I was like, you know what? Let's go with this. You know, let's throw on a couple kind of like sadder songs and push. You know, use the gym, use that workout to take care of that sadness. Because I usually have used in the past my workouts to take care of, like, my anger and, like, these other feelings and maybe depression, things like that, but not necessarily like direct sadness or grieving. And so that was a really good way for me to, like, deal with this. But really, like, there's no completely proper way. I'd say the proper way is to not deny yourself any feelings or emotions or anything that you want to do to deal with this. I'd say drop all the ego, you know what I mean? And just, like, do what you can. And don't feel bad about any personal changes to your energy, your personality for, like, a few weeks or month after or something like that. Because, like, it's okay if your emotions are down. It's okay if you're not happy. You know, like, if you're not the most jovial person in the room, it's like you don't have to bring that energy all the time. I would say it's necessary. I don't care who you are. I don't care if it's not a thing that you desire a lot, but I bet you, man, I bet you will feel better if you cry and let it out a little bit and release those emotions a bit. Because yin and yang, man. You only express, like, the happy feelings. Your sadness is just gonna get, like, bottled up. Your anger is gonna get bottled up. All these emotions and stuff are gonna get bottled up, and they come out in weird ways. Like, I think the worst thing to do to deal with, like, grieving would be to turn to, like, substances or, like, get, you know, really drunk or on drugs or whatever, so that you can numb the feeling and not have to think so concisely and then have to deal with it so concisely and sharply. That's where I am. It's what's happened and how I'm dealing with it and where I am with my grief. The last thing I do want to say is that I wholly admire the Mexican culture, and I'm sure lots of other cultures as well, but the one that I know is, you know, Dias de los Muertos, which is like the Day of the Dead. And when people die, generally, from my understanding, a Mexican culture is that you celebrate their life, you know, which is so awesome. Because I think you need both. Again, yeah, I think you need to express that sadness and stuff, and I think you need to like, be okay with saying, yes, this is sad, and I am sad, and I wish this didn't happen. That is okay to say that, you know what I mean? But then also at the same time, like, you have to let it go. You have to not completely attach yourself, because it's going to happen to everybody. And I think one of the most beautiful things is that built into the culture is the appreciation. Because, like, I thought about it this way. If I died and everybody was at my funeral, of course, you know, I would expect, and you know, I want people to grieve and be sad and stuff, but I would really be excited if I was watching my own funeral and people were talking about how awesome things were and, like, oh, you remember this one time when we did that? And we went to, you know, up north, and we went to San Francisco, and remember when Brian, like, jumped in the water and then he forgot to bring underwear? You know, I want those stories to be shared, and I want people to, like, have a good time. I would love if people left my funeral in a good mood, even though they were still dealing with grief and sadness, and, you know, it's still down there and there. But I'd be stoked if they were, like, smiling and happy, and maybe, like, they played some music that I really liked, and people were, like, getting into stuff. I just really admire that perspective of celebrating death as well as mourning loss, because there's so much good in life, and there's so much good that person has brought to your life, especially if it's making you so sad. There's so much good that they brought to you. So I think it's important to also take the time to really appreciate, celebrate, be happy for that person's existence, and also, depending on if you're religious or not, be happy that they're in a better place. I think we'll get there. I've definitely done some of that, but I think we'll get there more as we move forward. I'm going to really be able to celebrate and look at this as a really positive experience in my life. I know my grandma was and is very proud of me. Some people are going to think that this is a really peculiar video to put up. Maybe like inappropriate. I'm just waiting for those comments. But I also know my grandma would be really proud to see this video, because my grandma was a really good person. She really cared about other people. She's part of the reason that I grew an altruistic personality of wanting to help other people. And so I'm sure my grandma would see this video. She would see that it was helping people, and that it was there for people who, you know, maybe don't have someone to talk to in their life, and don't have a way to relate the feelings they're going through with someone else's feelings. And I know she would see the value in this, and she would be happy that I put this video up. So that's the reason I want to put this video up, because I know that when I've put out my hardest times before, especially when I thought, should I upload this? Is this the right video to put up? Is this too personal? Is this too much? Does it make me uncomfortable? You know? Every time I've put up a video in those circumstances, I've had thousands of people message me and leave comments and stuff and say that this was so helpful, and they're so glad that I decided to put this video out. So that's the reason I want to put this video out, is that I know there's so many people that are dealing with this, and I don't know, I haven't searched through YouTube, to be honest, so I don't know if people have talked about this kind of thing, especially in the moment, but I really know that it will be useful for you who are watching, myself in the future. It's very cathartic for me right now just to even speak this out to the public, because I know this is going to be seen by a lot of people, so it feels good to be able to get this off my chest a bit. It's okay to be a happy person who's going through something sad. It's okay to be sad in the moment who's a positive person. Usually it's okay. And that's where I am, you know what I mean? And, you know, like, even during the sadness, I'm still happy. I'm really happy to be alive. I'm happy to have what I have. I'm grateful and stuff, you know? But this is really, really tough. So that's it. I'm going to round it up here. I appreciate you guys coming in here. Thank you so much for supporting it again. And I hope, you know, whatever you're going through, I hope it gets better. I hope you're able to deal with it. I hope you're able to come to terms with it. And I hope you're able to get back to your normal, and you're happy, and your functionality, and get back to life. Thank you guys for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.